Okay, hello? Can everyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Doesn't seem like I'm getting a response. Yes, we can. Yes, okay. All right, so, um, don't really have a specific plan to bring out any information, but if people join and have seen the testimonies that I posted these past few days, I think there's a playlist of 3 of them. If anyone has specific questions, I'd be glad to answer those. Um, I'll give you a quick update with what happened yesterday. Yesterday, I got a call from Deacon saying that I was allowed to go. So he told me that for elders meeting on the invite for elders meeting was for non-members and members. So I told him, "Great, I'll probably be going," and he said, "Yeah, I'll just send you." He told me he's gonna send me the address when he knows the location. And I especially wanted to go just, be there be a witness to what how things are handled, um, how elder handles things, and also, my brother could one of the brothers can't make it, he's working, so I wanted to go also for his sake. But then he called me. Then I got a call later that day, and he said that I was no longer that he messed up, he misunderstood, and it's actually this meeting that's going on right now in Boston was only for members. And then I said, okay, you know, I'll probably call Shawan and ask him if I can go on my brother's behalf. And he said, yeah, you could call him, but they're probably gonna say no. And and then I said, okay. He said, I apologize. It was my fault. And I said, okay, whatever. And I'm assuming, just based off of that discussion, those 2 phone calls, that I'm assuming they might have seen my testimonies. I know after we gave permission for the sister to share it in Texas, and we're assuming that the elders saw the videos that on the YouTube channel. And then they changed the game plan and said, "Okay, we don't want non-members or people who have just left coming." Um, but yeah, so then I did text him. I texted Deacon. I said, "Hey, can I get?" First, I texted Shawan, called him a few times, and Shawan didn't even answer. Um, he didn't answer. He didn't answer my text. He hasn't been answering my text messages. And then I said to Deacon, I texted Deacon. I called Deacon. I said, "Hey, can I just get Elder's number? Is I would just, talk right to the source and get it just man to man, just get a straight answer from him." And Deacon said, "Yeah, I'll text you his number." 30 minutes passes, still don't get the number. I gave him one other text and reminding him to give me the number, and I said, "Hey, just be straight with me. If you are not allowed to give the number, just tell me. If you have to obey his commands, you feel like you're obligated to, and if you share this number, you might get in trouble. That's fine. Just tell me though." So, bottom line, I did not get Elder Rakah's number, and that's a red flag in and of itself. I mean, the fact that you can't get Elder Rakah's number raises concerns, and the fact that it's not even. I mentioned this, the website. You go on Gathering of Christ Church, and usually every church has a directory, and you can call the churches that I were a part of. You call, there's the pastor's numbers on there, and you can call him directly. He'll answer like, "Hey," and he'll answer your questions, and he'll invite you to the church. But this man, he just is super, super private. You have to go through loopholes just to get in contact with him. And but I do have um, friends, still in the church, so that's good. So yeah, a few more people are joining. Yeah, it could have been set up to. Yeah, what I was thinking when I heard that I was allowed, and I even heard yesterday from a sister called my wife and said non-members are allowed to go. And so me and my wife were talking, and we're thinking, okay, maybe this meeting, it could go two ways. He could do this meeting to make me look, kind of embarrass me in front of everyone and demonize me in front of everyone, make me feel uncomfortable and nervous to say anything. So, or he could have been super, super on the other side of the spectrum. He could have been super nice and show so much love to me, um, and try to control the narrative that way, um, as just a public display of, yeah, this we're me and this brother, we're working it out. I'm going to show everyone that I'm going to, make things right with him here. So but then of course there was a change of plans, obviously. And I called another brother, asked him, for the number. This other brother said no, he cannot not give. He's not allowed to give Elder Rakah's number. So there's a lot of levels of protection Elder Rakah has set in place. But truth, I mean, if again, this is another fact that truth really has nothing to hide. If you're on the side of truth, there's no need for all these layers of difficulty when trying to address a matter, or you're the person who's trying to get things resolved. And the silence too. I was going over an overview of the book 48 Laws of Power. Oh, okay. So someone says she has the number. Okay, great. I'll put my I'll put my number out there. I'm gonna have you send it to my email. If you could send it to my email. Here's my email. And I will call him later. One brother said I wasn't allowed. They didn't want me to go, or there was concerns. And I told them I think they don't want me to go because the elders obviously don't want me to be there because I will, it might throw a wrench in their plans, and it won't go smoothly according to how they want it to go. What the outcomes they have pre-planned outcomes that they want to meet, and the means, the ends justify the means. That's how these people operate. So they probably didn't want me there, and I told this brother probably because I will be possibly recording, trying to hold them accountable, make sure the story's straight and everything like that. And this time I would, before, when I'm confident enough now that I have enough evidence and I know this is the truth of the matter. Because before I was even playing games in my own mind, saying, "Man, am I the bad guy?" um, and breaking this mind control and just actually doing all these videos really helped that. Digging into cult psychology and going into how the subconscious works and your brain operates. But um, what I was saying is that the going to they didn't want me to record it, so I told the brothers, like, they don't want me there. The leaders don't want me there. And then the brother said, um, the leaders then the brother told me on the phone, he said, "Well, I think it's because the leaders don't mind having you there, but it's other people in the church that will feel uncomfortable if you record, because they don't know if you're going to record it or not. So they don't want regular members in the church don't want you recording it." Because apparently I'm the recording guy now, the guy that takes private conversations, recording them, and I send them out to people. But this is why I'm glad I actually talked to my wife the other day about this, and I'm glad I took my time with this all, because if I just jumped on and acted hastily, the emotions would have got the best of me. I might have said something that could indict me legally. So I made sure my wife, she was a huge help. She looked up the laws, New Hampshire laws about recording, the legal laws about sharing recordings, and I think I read it in my first testimony, or in one of them. I don't know. Let me see if I can read it here. I actually think I saved the email. Subsequent sharing of recording. So communication recordings in New Hampshire are governed by New Hampshire RSA 570A. While the law generally requires consent of all parties to record a private conversation, the statute includes provisions allowing a participant in a communication to intercept or record a conversation when the purpose is to obtain evidence related to the commission of a criminal act, and which we have proof of. And we've talking to, because at first we were like, all right, let's just talk to some lawyers and see, class action lawsuit type of stuff. And they all said, you can do a lawsuit, but you can, sounds criminal behavior, so we couldn't file a police report. But we just didn't feel that was appropriate at the time. And I hope it never will be. But yeah, we do have, this is why I recorded in the first place. The recording in this instance was made in good faith and with the intent of preserving an accurate record of statements that raise concerns about potential unlawful conduct. And just cults in general, you always want, when it hits all the markers of a cult, the telltale signs, this is what we should be doing, is when people break free out of this, is to hold these leaders accountable. Because this is like their own world here that they've created. And they have a lot of people, obedient. Actually, one sister reached out to my wife and gave this really deep thought about, I'll share it with you. Maybe I'll make a little video on this. Let me see. This was brilliant, I thought. So it just goes on. she talked about how she was thinking about how, leaders get under the control of the elders, and how just people are so quick to obey without critical thought, and they kind of lose themselves in the process. And she said, I feel like there's some kind of bro code where they cover for each other no matter what. But that's how Rakah keeps his leadership under him and at his beck and call at all hours of the day. He covers for them so they are indebted to him. It's wrong that you can have all the proof and still be made out to be the bad guy. And I've been reading the comments. I've been spending too much time in the comments. I just probably better off just ignoring them. And the thing, so she goes on to say, and the thing is, it didn't have to get this far. Had they both been remorseful and straight up from the beginning, I feel like the so-called friendship could have been restored if things were handled honestly from the outset. But you have to have a certain level of morals to value friendship and honesty. And this was the double speak that was going on in my mind. I was every Shabbat, one of his deacon's favorite thing to say was, um, I got, we uphold the standard whenever we're reading the laws. Like this standard, we are different because we uphold a high standard. We're living to a high standard. Yet at the same time, I'm trying to sort in my mind these two contradictory things that I'm seeing. I'm seeing his standards not really meeting that with the way he's living in his private life. Yet when he comes up and speaks to us with all this authority about a standard, it seems like his morals compass is off. So she says, certain level of morals to value friendship and honesty. They never saw y'all as friends. Maybe at one point they did. I don't know, but it seems like they saw you guys as a cash cow and tried to use scripture to emotionally manipulate. I think I missed. So that was that. And then I said, I was thinking about that, what she wrote. And he covers them. So it's kind of like the beginning of what she said, how Rakah keeps his leadership under him and at his beck and call at all hours of the day. He covers them so they are indebted to him. So he's playing with their emotions, bringing in a really coming in. Obviously, they're feeling good because they're in this leadership position. Then they get caught doing something wrong. Elder comes in, verbally lashes out at them, punishes them, humiliates them just in front of me on the camera, and forces them to tell the truth, reprimands them in private. That brings them low. And now they're worried. Oh man, what's going to happen now? Then he comes at the end of the meeting saying, you know what? We're going to restore everything. We're going to come to forgiveness. Mercy's at the end of the day, mercy is going to be had. We're not going to do a humiliation ritual. Now their emotions are back up. So that swing in emotions with them gets them loyal to Rakah, because Rakah is the one restoring them. And now they look at Rakah as almost a god, because when God came into the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve sinned before them, right? And Adam and Eve were shameful. They were brought to a low estate. What did God do? God covered them and raised them back up and covered their sin. Elder Rakah is doing this it seems like he's doing with all his minions under him, his henchmen. So with the lower leadership, he will use that manipulative tactic where, he's gonna sort of humiliate you, bring you into that state of kind of fear and dread and like, oh man, guilt. But then he's gonna restore you and cover you. And now they look at him as like, okay, whatever Rakah says, I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna give you his number because I'm loyal to Rakah. I don't want to mess up because obedience to Rakah is more important than the truth. Um, I don't know. I haven't seen. I guess. Hold on. Am I still going here? It is new to me. It's my second live, but that was important. It's almost like Rakah's the earthly representation of God to these lower leaders, and they'll do anything to keep the position because they're so attached to it. It's a trauma bond, disorganized. Look that up. Disorganized relationship going on, and when all members have it to a certain degree. To a certain degree. Anyone have questions? I'm not seeing anything. Welcome to the live chat. Remember. Okay. Don't know why they made this man their idol. So it is against the Bible. Yeah, I would go back because I think there's a lot of subtle psychological underpinnings here that are in work that if you go back to my later videos, you will see how people can easily move from their good intentions of I'm here for the Bible and God to slowly shifting their affection towards this man and honoring this man over God and having a fear of man rather than a fear of man rather than a fear of God. And Rakah, I'll read some points. I'm just going to go through this overview. I have not read the book, but here's an overview of it. Yes, indeed. Judah King, a lot of manipulation tactics, indeed. This is the book, and I got this information from Maestro Mike that he saw them reading the book 48 Laws of Power, the 48 Laws of Power. And here's the core idea of the book. So according to him, and it makes sense because when I've been reading this overview of this book, it's like, man, this is what they do. This lines up perfectly to what I'm seeing play out in reality. So this is the book they have read and studied. The core idea of this 48 Laws of Power book is power isn't just about authority, it's about perception, control of information, human psychology. The book teaches how people gain, maintain, and defend power, often through manipulation. Most important laws, here are the most important laws of that book that they read, simplified and the application of it. So first one is never outshine the master. So the takeaway, don't make those above you feel inferior. The application, I'm going to do the good side. So there's two things to this book. You can use it, for evil and for good. And I'm going to give you the good part and then the dark side of it. So this is a good thing. Don't make those above you feel inferior. Thank you for that. At work, let your boss, I did get the number. At work, let your boss feel like the authority. In groups, give credit upward. Okay, dark side, leaders may suppress talented people to stay dominant. Number 2, conceal your intentions. Don't reveal your full plan. And this is pretty clear throughout, if you watch the testimony videos. The application, negotiations, keep your strategy private. Okay? Keep your strategy private. Social dynamics, don't show all your cards. The dark side of this, watch for people being strategically vague or deceptive. So people are going to be vague and deceptive strategically. Always say less than necessary. All right? Silence creates power. And I mean, they say they try to keep it very narrow. And this is good advice. This book is a good book to read for everyone. Um, but you can obviously learn from it and use it to maintain a dictatorship over the people. So silence creates power. Speak concisely. The application, speak concisely, appear more confident. Let others reveal more than you. Okay. The dark side, overuse can create mystique and intimidation. So overuse of this silence can make the intimidation factor. And just me going through trying to get in touch with people and them just ghosting me, that's almost psychological manipulation too, because they know by not answering me, I'm gonna feel some anxiety in my heart beat, and I'm gonna feel some type of anxiety about it. Um, which I gotta be like, okay, that's fine. They can do that. Just let it go. Just let it go. Guard your reputation at all costs. Takeaway: reputation equals power. Application: protect your name and credibility. Protect your name and credibility. Address false narratives quickly. Manipulators may destroy others' reputation to gain control. Okay, manipulators may destroy other people's reputations to gain control. And this is, you see Elder lately, his lessons are filled with him inserting these damage control narratives to destroy the other person's reputation, to address the narratives and make them falsify them. The people on the outside, right? It's us on the inside versus them. And they create this dynamic on purpose. And get it straight, I'm not trying to create a team of people to go. This is education. I'm learning stuff. I'd like to share it with people. Whatever I'm learning, I hope I have the time to share it, and everyone can do their own research, think independently. And this is not me trying to create a church. I'm done with churches. Done. Not going back to a Christian church either, and just small home communities. Build a community with the people you're around, and do the work locally. So look up the book Pigs in the Parlor. First-hand knowledge that their leadership is reading that book also. All right, I will do that. Appreciate that. Where the Corinthians was saying, I'm Paul and I'm Apollos. People often side with the one who brought them to do the word. Paul had to check them. Right. Spent years in recovery from these cult organizations. Okay, yep. Yeah, the recovery. That's a real thing. And Quab, Quab, I think I've seen your channel or your testimony, and that was super helpful to me. Because you talked about that, just the witchcraft and that kind of stuff that's going on where you were. And yeah, the recovery process just beginning for me, but in your channel, you give a lot of helpful advice. So definitely for anyone that sees Quab gives, he's very helpful. Yes, feel the same small home gathering community. Yes, indeed. So yeah, court attention at all costs. Takeaway: visibility equals influence. And Elder Ka, I don't know, I'll share this. I'm going to get permission to put these videos because I reached out with a clinical psychologist who does videos on cult mannerisms and detecting facial expressions and how to read people. The visibility thing, he even talks about, how Rakah opens his eyes like this and you can see the white around his eyes. Well, a lot of cult psychopathic leaders will open or make their face big, and to grab people's attention. he does a great video on that with the UFO cult leader, and I think I have a little meme thumbnail of the UFO cult leader, like with his eyes like this, raised eyebrows. You'll see Ricard do that a lot when he talks. He also does this a lot, and that's also a sign. That's what the Jim Jones guy did a lot, and it shows that people, for cult leaders, for normal people, doing this is probably your mouth's dry. You might be a little nervous, and you're just trying trying to help your dry mouth. But for cult leaders, psychopaths, they do that after they say something that's really impactful, that they really think drives right into the people and grabs, really tugs at their emotions, or something they're really excited about. They'll do this before or after they talk, and they will be silent. Um, Ted Bundy, he does a one on Ted Bundy that's really, really good. So visibility, equals influence. Branding, social media, leadership presence can turn into attention seeking or theatrics to control perception. So the dark side of it can turn into attention seeking and theatrics to control people's perception. There's a lot of theatrics. I mean, he's a performer. Elder, deep down, Richard Shepard, he wants to be a performer. He proved that to us with him going to the Grammys, and even not trying to. He was trying to hide that. He had his Jewish buddy, take down the Instagram post, and then didn't even address the reasons why he went to the Grammys and this. He didn't really address that part. So he's all about visibility and trying to live a double life. He really wants to be that music guy, and you see at the Passover. And I'm glad I didn't go this year, but it's just a big show. It's just a big show, not for the Most High, just to these puffed up leaders to get their glory in the limelight. And that controls people's perception. So vulnerable people go to this, and I was one of them. Still, like Quab gives, still the recovery process is in the works, and praise God. Get others to do the work, take the credit. So here's a big one. In the book, it talks about get others to do the work, take the credit. Take away, leverage others. He leveraged, this one hits home with Maestro Mike, and probably dozens of other people, that he just leveraged other people and not pay them and not give them their due. And where they made great sacrifices on behalf of Elder, and nothing was restored. And some of the sacrifices you can't get back. That hurts me thinking about it. What happened with Maestro Mike losing his father, not being able to bury him. And you can't, everyone will say, and I've been hearing in the comments, oh, well, you're a grown man, no one forced you to this church. You got to really understand, do research on the subconscious mind, do research on psychology and cults, leaders. And we're all susceptible. Even people from Harvard University graduated, joined some serious cults. So even the smartest of people are susceptible to this. Delegation in leadership. Okay, so take the credit. Delegation in leadership. So delegating things. The dark side of it, exploitation if abused. Common and toxic hierarchies. And I said in my previous videos that this church is a hierarchy. It's a power structure where all the power is concentrated in a small circle, with the Rakah signing the documents, being the spiritual leader, running businesses, LLCs. His property is an LLC, his own land. Yes, Quab gives Passover is 100% full of idolatry and vanity. Yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Elder Gabbard's show, I did speak with Elder Gabbard, and I think we will set up something to get this out there even more. A brother who was in GOC said a sister put a voodoo item in his mom bathroom. I believe that. Yeah. I'm not surprised anymore. You now that I'm out, I've just been getting phone calls every week about something about a certain brother, and it seems like when you go to this church, there's a dark spirit that attaches to people, and it brings out like you could be a good intentioned brother, a healthy minded person, and go to this church, and all of a sudden this it pulls out something that's in you. You might have a tendency towards violence, and this you join this church, and that tendency is going to be magnified tenfold. So now you're just violent to women, violent here, violent that, and with any particular sin. But this is why I'm so serious about, man, just yeah, I just had to say something, and I again, this is not my personality. I would never have started this channel if I didn't go through something like this. Passover is full. Imagine going to Passover and the Grammys in the same week. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, he's going to Grammys to get inspired to put on a Grammy like Passover show for the people. It's probably I think the Bible says something about that which is highly esteemed in man's eyes is abomination to God. So it's just an abomination to the Most High. It's not people are sacrificing. And I talked about this leadership that can't afford to go goes to these feast days. They sacrifice a lot. This is a you could see that you could go as far as seeing the Passover event as a sacrifice to not to the Most High, to a different God, the one that Elder, I should say, Richard Shepherd serves as a god of Mammon. Um, so yeah, this is not something people in the comments kind of gloss over this stuff. Um, and this is you can't sugarcoat this at all. I know there's people here in the chat even that experience some dark stuff. Go listen to Quab Gives testimony. It's just more and more people, same patterns over and over again. I'm a little late to this discussion, but have you experienced any threats and backlash from the church? No, I have not experienced any threats. I just experienced a lot of silence and ignoring, which has a psychological toll. And I need to be smart about how I take my time, like how much time I put into communicating, and just learn to let go when I realize this is part of their playbook. So just a lot of silence, a lot of people that I thought were true friends showing their true colors to me. It's like, okay, I see who your loyalty is. You know, loyalty. What does Elder Akai, I should just call him Richard Shepherd say? His loaded language, or what is it? Yeah, royalty is loyalty. Use that line to drive that in to people, to be loyal till the end. You don't want to be going on that land with him. I mean, the end of, if you look at the history of the end of cult leaders, they all follow the same pattern. So if you go overseas with this man, don't expect anything but betrayal in the end. And the Most High is giving everyone a chance to make a decision to get out of this system of control where everyone's under a man. I believe that name Ahai Nishai is attached to his magic. Yeah, I was learning that Ahaya is. Yeah, I do hope I pray it's not. Who knows what this man is capable of, or what's in this man's heart? But Bible says there's 7 abominations. Read Proverbs 26, I think 28. 7 abominations in his heart. In the heart of those, like this man right here, those types of people. I believe that name Ahayashai is attached to his magic. No one outside of GOC accepts the names. I was able to understand the New Testament once I dropped the names. Yes, I do believe there's something negative about those names when you use them. And it seems like I learned that, I don't know if this is true, but the Haya is the third person or the first person, and Yahweh or Yahweh is third person, the actual way you to address it. But I'm not at that stage where I'm going into depth into the doctrine, re-examining that yet. But I'm sure, I'm keeping it simple, trying to go back to the basics, go back to my first love that I had before when I was doing street preaching in the Christian church, and just had a really strong connection with God. And I called him God. I just keep it simple. The Most High, I call, he understands. I thought the land bought was here in America. Is it outside? Now, I'm not sure. I can't give really any something that I can actually prove where the land is. I know if you look up Gathering Christ Church on business open data, nonprofit listings and corporations, and you look up Elder's name, you'll see his LLCs in Texas, in Florida, Washington. There's land, but I think it's for offices and stuff like that. He has land, obviously. We know that 4 acres about. But I don't know what I tried to look up the land stuff. I couldn't find anything. Again, there's a lot of privacy and secrecy when it comes to these things. We kind of have to take his word for it. But if he does have land in America, and the plan is to flee to the wilderness, and I don't know, he's probably gonna, just like he led Maestro into Egypt when there was a civil war going on, and he was witnessing people getting shot. He's probably going to lead everyone to a place in the wilderness that's the wrong place, or the place it's not going to be safe. And if he does have land in America when things go down, you don't want to be on a land when all the leaders are a bunch of wolves, and have a criminal background. Or doing criminal things, I should say. They can't cast out a devil, prophecy, accolade, or heal anything in it. Mark 16. And these signs shall follow them that believe in my name. Shall they cast out devils? They shall speak with new tongues, right? Right. And I witnessed, I didn't witness, but every time when I was in it fully, my mind and spirit was in this church. Tabernacles, I go to tabernacles at Philly and with the Philly with Northeast Tabernacles, and Elder Ricard walks around. He will take time to walk around praying and laying hands on people. And I always part of me wanted to ask for a private prayer where Elder Loya and Elder Ricard could pray over me, help me overcome, but I'm glad I didn't. Maybe that was the Most High. I'm glad I didn't, but one of the reasons why I didn't, it seemed like it was really hard in the first place to get through to him, to ask him, hey, can you pray for me? Because you had to, at Tabernacles, you had to set up a private meeting, or if he's walking around and doing it, maybe you can ask. But when I got prayed and anointed, nothing after, it almost seems like things got worse. Just personally, in my experience, nothing, their prayers of the deacons, leadership prayers, when they anoint you with oil, it probably does have a negative effect on people. If you're trying to heal, it's going to make you sick or die. If you're trying to, overcome a sin, it's just going to make you continue in that sin, or something might, and I've continued in a lot of sin throughout this church. But I don't want to go into detail of that. By definition, has a false prophet. He professed Obama was the last president. Iran would destroy America in 2012. I don't know how I didn't see it earlier. Yep, I hear you. And yeah, we can all go back and it's like, man, how did we not see it? but just getting clarity on first forgive yourself. And forgiving yourself is the hardest part for most people who have actual compassion, for people who have a heart that's not made of stone. They have bowels of what the Bible calls bowels of compassion. Forgiveness, um, you got to forgive yourself too. We can forgive the people who've done us wrong and pray for them. Pray for our enemies, because the truth has divided us. Um, and go wherever the truth goes. Um, but yeah, we can always look back and say, "Oh man, how did I not see it?" But thank you for that. I didn't know that he actually prophesied the destruction of America and Obama, last president. Uh, yeah, that's a definition of false prophet. And when he's leading, I mean, it's one thing. I did get some things wrong. I was kind of overzealous when I heard. I thought the dollar was going to collapse way back 2012 and 2014. I was selling stuff, so um, I stopped requesting prayer, and I needed it badly, but I discerned things getting worse after them knowing your business. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I would request counsel, prayer, and it just something was off. Something was off. And like I said, my wife always says that if it feels off, it probably is off. Uh, sometimes we get so wrapped up, and it's easy, especially under high control groups, coming in thinking it's one thing and then finding out later it's another thing, and breaking out of that spell. It's really hard to realize when things are getting worse and why it's getting worse. I think we look at the symptoms and we look inwardly, oh, it must be something with us, but we'll never see something on the outside. And when we realize, okay, the root of it is actually not necessarily me. It's that I'm under people who are hypocrites, who are actually operating at a lesser, worser level than I am, and yet I'm giving all my energy towards them, and I'm sacrificing my time for them. And I mean, I would put in, looking back, man, I put in a lot of time in the music ministry. On calls like three nights out of the week doing music stuff, music lessons, music rehearsals, and I was the drummer. I didn't really need to be in the music, but I did it because I loved them. That was the ministry that kept me in this church for as long as I did. And I love the people in the choir, and the brother I played the music with to this day. I care about him. We still talk too. Imagine being on the land with people who would throw you under the bus to save their own behinds. Yikes! Yeah, yeah, yeah. People get all excited, and the sad part, the I was watching the broadcast, the live Passover broadcast, and when he said, "We got land and we don't even have a mortgage on it," and everyone's cheering, everyone's super excited. Sorry, that's the dog wanting to be let in. Everyone's super excited, and it's just, I pray people break the curse before it gets to that point where you're in close proximity to this guy. Even at tabernacles, it was strange being around him. It seems like every year it gets worse and worse. First year he was, "Hey, Shalom, you're the Gentile brother, and you're the drummer, right?" And then this past year he didn't even look me in the eye when he came to the rehearsals and stuff, which is fine. I mean, but as a leader, as a pastor, I remember the Christian church I went to, the pastor was at the door shaking everyone's hand as they come in. Um, it's just very, and then he's in his own little area where people have to, you know, get permission to go see him. So yeah, the last thing I want to be is on a piece of land with that guy and all those people. But it can be dangerous, even the members, being around members, because we're all, we're all with, when you're in a group, It's like you're on a team, and even the fans of the team are influenced. You look at football and like any fan sport, the subconscious works in ways where it seeks approval of the group. It seeks to be, it seeks safety over truth. So if it's a lie, then your subconscious in it, but the lie is safe. Your subconscious is not going to read and tell you, "Hey, this is a lie. Don't," because they can frame it as if everyone's believing one lie, then it's going to be harder to break free because your subconscious always seeks to the majority, to the safety. It's a safety mechanism. It's a defense, right? So it's just dangerous being in this kind of environment spiritually. Yeah, it's so easy to fool people, I guess. They can offer you anything and say it's from God, and people run. Yeah, it's what is that quote? It's easier to be fooled. I know it's a Mark Twain quote. Maybe I can get it here. So what is your purpose for the video? If you have a problem with the brother, you go to him. Yeah, this is typical. And you tell him what he offended you. This right here, you're doing the double work here. Okay, that's a typical. I've been seeing these a lot of comments. I'm trying not to put so much focus on these kind of remarks. And these responses. Oh, this is so. What's your purpose? This video. You have a problem with the brother. You go to him, right? This is one of their precepts they ingrained into us. They teach us this every class almost. They really emphasize this because they want us to do it intentionally. Because if someone has an issue, it's easier for that issue to stay private when should be a publicly known problem. Go watch, I don't know, John Henderson, go watch my video of my testimony, and then you can get an idea. I'm not going to go through all that right now. But this is a programmed response. This is almost, how should I put it? You're thinking in terms of, it's not your own thinking. It's not your own thought. This is something I would say, and I have said probably, go to your brother. This is gossip, right? No, we don't. When something is this weighty of a matter, this is not a thing where I've went to the brothers. I've given them a whole month. I've talked to them on the phone, and just a quick. So I don't think I brought this out in my study. In my testimony that I called when Jacob gave me the money. I called him and I said, "Hey, brother, thank you for taking the right step, for giving me the money back. Like you said, you kept your word. I appreciate that." And I also said, "But really, you're missing the point." And I told this to Rick, and I said, "Hey, Deacon Jacob." I also talked to Deacon Rakah about this. That in order to fully make things right, this was just one piece of the puzzle, and it's one of the smaller pieces. To make things really right, the urgency, like you didn't have to wait to give me the money and for Elder Rakah to come today to make things right. You can be a man about it, and on your own initiative, confess your faults, everything, full disclosure to the congregation. You were still teaching over these people for a whole month after you got caught, and even Elder Rakah said to you that you have a dark spirit on you. And the only way to go listen to the recordings. The only way to get rid of that spirit is for you to be humiliated. And then he changed his mind and said, actually using wisdom. I don't know if you heard this on the testimony. He said, after using wisdom, we're not going to do that humiliation. And he called it a humiliation ritual. So I told on the phone, I said, no, you have an opportunity. You've been having opportunities. You can just go make things right. Confess your faults. tell the people what you did and step down and take care of your family. Like I did mention to you, and you even mentioned to us for years that the priority should be your family, but that wasn't what we were seeing. Um, so yeah, this is public harm. I mean, he signed papers to be a leader in this church, so he's legally on the church leadership as a leader in the church. So he's liable. He has to follow church rules. He has to follow legal rules. He has to, especially when it's a spiritual organization, you have to have morals you're operating by. So, I mean, yeah, I can. Hey, yeah, I am playing. I guess it is a dangerous game, but don't worry about me. You know, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And I actually feel better than ever. And my wife told me, "He's like, wait, don't do this right away. Don't share the testimony." I was like, "You're right. You're right. I'll wait and give enough time and let it settle and do my own research, study cults." I'll show you right here. I didn't just hop on and start getting emotional and start hating and name calling people. I try to stay away from the name calling, all the things I could say. Sometimes you have to call a spade, though, and address them as who they are. And I've heard a comment that when I talked about Elder Lloyd being my daddy and how that I used that, I said that because I was correcting my own mind in real time, because I shouldn't treat these guys and honor them like I would my dad anymore, which I did. They don't deserve that honor. Not definitely not that honor, and for certainly not a double honor, like they always like to say. So they don't deserve that honor. They're whitewashed tombs. They're hypocrites, okay? So I can call them that. That's what they are. So I've been studying books. I haven't just been ignorantly blasting things. Get these books, study them. This one I haven't really gone into yet, and this one on cults. And these are written by, this one's a former cult member, okay? Some of the best teachers actually went through something. Some of the best teachers, for if they're a drug addict, are former drug addicts to help other drug addicts. Well, this is a cult, okay? This is a cult we're talking about. Yeah, I would say I was really hurt. Yeah, of course. Anyone would be. Go listen to my testimony. Go listen to my testimony. They're compromised. Yes, they don't. There's nothing here for God, and people are getting led astray, and that's a lot of people. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Judah King. It's funny how they start to visit churches once problems arrive. Yeah. Yeah. That's when I get phone calls. That's when they talk to me. Elder doesn't. Maestro Mike said he was surprised when Maestro Mike said, when I told him, "Hey, yeah, Elder Rakal called me out of nowhere on a phone," and he says, "No, Elder doesn't call anyone unless it's about money." That's what Maestro Mike said. He probably heard that money was involved, and he got me on the phone right away. And that whole thing with the 50,000, um, he lied to me on that phone call too. Another quick thing about the aftermath. Deacon, what was it? Deacon Rakah was the first one, because I actually had a lot of my music equipment in the church, and I still actually need to get one piece of my music equipment, hopefully this week. Music equipment in the church that I needed to get, and we arranged a time where he would meet or come up with my stuff. I think it was some it was the speakers and wire cables and everything. So he comes up, actually drives up to New Hampshire, unloads the stuff. He also wanted to give me the drum set back, which he paid for. And I said, you know what? I don't want the drum set. You can have the drum set if you're going to use it. He's like, no, 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 you can have it. And I was like, okay, if you insist, if you're really not going to use it, because I probably won't use it. I already have 2 drum sets. I don't really have the room for it, so I'm probably not going to use it, but I'll donate it to someone else. Um, if you're really not, if you're going to use it, keep it. You know. But he said no, no, and he actually wanted to give me his cymbals that he purchased on his own and other things. So I took it at first, the cymbal and the things that he got on his own, and then he also tried to give me silver, and I said, okay, cool. Why are you giving me silver? And it was a lot of silver, and I said, I'm not looking for, you know, the money. I told him we were kind of walking together, getting stuff out of the truck that he has, and I said, man, I really don't want to take this silver. He's like, no, 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 it's a peace offering. I said, okay, well, I I think you're missing the point here. And I told him this. I said, you're missing the point. And really, really, to make things right and restore relationships and to help the people in the church, is you need to make, like we said in the recording with you guys, that's what you need to do. You need to make a public, formal apology in detail of the iniquity and the sin. So how you did it, how you got away with it, using manipulation, using your spiritual authority, using the things like, for John Henderson, gossip. They always, gossip is their cardinal sin. They always want to highlight for us so that words that we don't start talking about how many people are giving money to you. So then it'll look bad, right? And that's what happened with the brother who I'm close with. He didn't know. If we actually talked about it earlier, he would have stopped giving money, and he got all the way up to $9,000. So I told him, hey, you're missing the point. You got to make this right for your own sake and for the church. You have to stop being a leader and just let it go. And he kind of shrugged it off, and it was kind of a circular argument, because obviously it didn't happen yet. And we'll see today what happens with Elder. Elder right now is, as we speak, is in Boston doing a meeting with the Boston body, and it was only members. I was told I was allowed to go, and then they changed the plan on me because I think they saw these videos that I put out my testimony, and then said, oh, no, we don't want him here anymore. So then they called me last night. This was the deacon, not Elder, of course. No one can talk to Elder. He's the all-seeing eye in this. Standing, he's the one in the ivory tower, like Lord of the Rings. I don't even know the guy's name. Sauron. But yeah, I couldn't reach Elder Akah. Maybe I'll call him later. So I forget where I was, but I told him that. He said, well, I didn't want it to be about the money, man. My good intention, this and that, and here, just take the silver. So I ended up taking the silver. Then I was like, man, I can't take this in good conscience. And for many reasons, it would be wrong for me to take the silver. So yeah, they're all saying, he stands aloof from the people, yet he needs to see everything going on. Yeah, man, we could make a whole movie about this, like a parody movie about this cult. I don't have the time for that, though. Maybe one day this will go down in history as one of the biggest cults in America, present day cults. Yeah, the silver. So I ended up giving the silver back. He said, give it to my dad. And I knew my dad was going to say no. I'd asked him anyways. He's like, yeah, no, I don't want the silver. And I mean, it could be used a lot of ways. If I actually took it, he could have some leverage against me and say, oh, well, he was all about the money. He just wanted to he got paid well from this. So I gave the silver back. I said, oh, that was a time when I went to church. So I had to, which I wanted to anyways. I drove down to Boston to return to him the symbol, his the seat, and some other things, and the silver. So I go there and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna get there around 11:45." I pull in. He pulls in at the same time. He gets out of the car very fast. I can tell he doesn't want me going inside the church. The security guards are outside the church. Um, and I know the security guard, of course, I know everyone in the church. So he says, hey, Drew, just put these in the car. Put the drums in the car. And I said, okay. I was loading the drums in the car. He said, I also had to give Zanog some money because we sold the amp together. So I owed him the leftover of that. So he went and got Zanog out. He got Zanog out. For me, because obviously he didn't say don't come in, but I could tell he didn't want me to go in the church. So I respected that. I was like, okay, I'll stay out. It was just weird. I mean, it's just seeing it now with your eyes open to things. It's like 100% uh, full blown textbook cult. Um, and then I was talking. So while I was waiting for Rakah to get Zanak came out. I talked with him for a little bit, but he went in to find my mic stand and other things. Uh, oh, real quick, I'll finish the story in a second. What happened to attending with the Meters elder today? Well, I was real quick on that. I said this in the beginning of it, but I was told I could go yesterday morning or early noon, by Deacon Rakah himself. He said, hey, you can go. Non-members can go. We would like to invite you to the meeting. I said, great. I'll be there. I know Kevin, brother, can't go. So I said, yeah, I'll be there. And he said, great. I'll send you the message. I'll send you the address. And he calls me back at around 8:00, 7:00 at night saying, actually, I was wrong. I misunderstood. And that he's using weak language. I mean, it seemed like he didn't misunderstand. How do you misunderstand that non-members were allowed, but they're not allowed to go? And so he said, I misunderstand, my fault. It's only for members. So I'm assuming, because my wife had a sister post my videos, testimony, probably, the all-seeing eye saw that I was putting this information out. He said, change of plans. So I got a call back from Deacon, said, hey, you can't go now. It's a misunderstanding. It's my fault. I thought you could. You actually can. I said, well, can I go in anyways? Can I get permission from Shawan's or go on behalf of the brother who can't go because he's working? He said, no, they're probably not going to like that. Try to get Elder's number. Of course, nobody can give you Elder's number. Yeah. So yeah, that's just a real quick answer to that. But anyways, while I was outside, so this is me getting my belongings from Deacon. I arrived at the church and they had me outside. I was talking with the security guard. One of the security guards I already told my story to, and he said, Mel, man, what a shame. God doesn't like this. And I said, yeah, God hates this. He's angry. He said, yeah. And then I was talking to the other security guard. He didn't know. He knew I left, but he didn't know. So this is while Deacon's inside getting stuff for me. And then the Knox out there with me too. And so Tavon, the security guy, I'm talking to him and said, hey, he said, yeah. I told him, did you hear that I left? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, man, I'm sorry about that. And I said, yeah, it was a pretty serious matter. We left because my wife and I didn't feel safe anymore in this church. And he said, oh, wow, that's really, it's that bad? I said, yeah, it's that bad. I said, if you want to, I can share you the information if you want to know for yourself. He said, okay, yeah. And then Deacon comes back out I said, all right. He gives me my stuff. I hand him the silver. I said, hey, man, I can't take this. If you want to give this to someone, help out the other brother and restore him with it, or give it to Jacob or whatever. Do something with it that can help someone else. Okay. And then he said, um, this is to my best of my recollection here. What did he say? He says something like, well, just this was for, your services and this and that. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. You don't need to pay me for my services, and never asked for it anyways. But he said something like that. And then, then Deacon. So I'm outside and I'm in front of the door with the security guards, Deacon Rakah and Zanak, and the other Deacon Jacob's approaching us. I'm here. Deacon's coming in, and he's walking towards the building, and he said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said, "I'm just grabbing my stuff." He says, "Shalom." He just says, "Shalom." Very serious, not not wanting me there at all. So he wants me to leave. He says, "Shalom." I said, "Okay." Well, we were just talking about, the brother who needs to be restored as well, and he's really hurt, by you guys using him and whatever. And he said, I said, yeah, I was just talking to Deacon, like you could, reach out to him and talk with him, because he's getting ignored. And then he told me, I already spoke to him. He said, I spoke to him. And I said, okay. And so I leave. And in the call, I call the brother right away. I call him on the phone. I said, hey, Deacon Jacob just said that he spoke to you. Is that true? And of course, it was a lie, another lie. You could sing it as a small lie, but man, small lies, big lies, they're all adding up to just, he's still just doing the same thing. And I told him, I texted him, let's see if I have the text message. Text message from Deacon Jacob. I said, hey, Jacob, I did speak with the brother to verify what you told me about talking with him, and what you said was a lie. Start telling the truth. And I say this with compassion. He gives me the heart emoji. So I also texted, for everyone's information, the security guards out there. I said, hey, just so you know, we just lied in front of everyone there, just so you can start seeing who this guy is. But that was sort of the last, that was the last person-to-person encounter. And then I called last night Deacon Rakah, the deacon over in Boston, the one that's been there the longest, called me about this meeting, which I'm not allowed to go to anymore. But that's basically all the parts that happen after. I'm trying to think. Again, the same. I did get the update, the 501c3, no, the tax donation. So that's another update. Took longer than I thought, but I did get the receipt of how much we tithed. And if anyone was a active member this year, I encourage everyone, if you're doing your taxes and you want to get more money back in taxes, to ask your local leader for the tax receipts. If you ask, under the law, they don't have to give it to you unless you ask. And I think that's under the 508c1a. And that's another. I mean, I have all these Post-it notes everywhere of new video ideas. So I might just do an update on that. These elders have thousands of witnesses towards their crimes and still won't repent. Yeah, it's just it's a web of deceit, and they've been doing this, and that's another thing. People don't realize that I was never like I have no practice with handling these, and none of us really do, unless you're a master manipulator and you're in a position of influence. Then you get good at it. These people are trained to be like this. They can act calm, cool, and collective. Here I am in the last video, out of my mind, losing my wits. Um, and yeah, I did say anything. I was trying to get as much out there because it was so bottled up through all these meetings I've had where the control was in the power was in the elders' hands. They didn't relinquish any power, give me anything, give me space to really like they didn't set the environment where I felt like I could speak comfortably toward them. Um, so yes, I was emotional. I shared that I did show emotion, which I'm not ashamed about. And now learning, I mean, this I learned more because I went to school for psychology, and I learned more being these last moments, these events leading up to my exit from the church. I learned more about psychology, real life psychology application than I did in school. So it was like a master class I had in cult dynamics and psychological behavior, psychopathic behavior, narcissistic behavior, Machiavellianism. I witnessed it all, and they're trained. I mean, that's the psychopathic mind. You're calm, cool, collected. I wasn't. My wife wasn't, and that's okay. I'm done trying to the deflection of me feeling like I did something wrong, which of course I have my own, but that's between me and God. What they did was a public offense and criminal, even based on elder's own words. That's why he didn't want the recordings to get out there because he called it what it is out of the horse's mouth. So if you can share those videos, please do. And it's yeah, and like the comments I've been responding to, which I need to focus just on positive things. And to think they would have kept the invite, you would be there in the meeting and not here. Yeah, and to think they would. Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna be there um, today, but they probably know what's going on now um, with the recordings out there. Who knows what they're gonna say? Now they have the controlled environment to do the manipulation on the people to get them on their following their game plan on par with what they want them to go and believe going forward. And you repeat the same stuff, and you have and it's probably going to be another thing in this church that is important to know to 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 wake up to is the length of the length of the services is on purpose. And I'm probably going to make this very long, like 4 hours of him talking, and the exhaustion of the people's minds. That actually has a positive effect for him because then the longer the thing is, the more they end up saying, "Oh wow, that was." They're going to have a stronger response in terms of their belief. They're going to be going out of this with a stronger sense of whatever he said. They're going to believe it. So that's intentional. These long services where he just talks and talks and talks. It really helps the people that he's over and trying to put under thought control. It really helps them believe it more. And this is something a lot of people spoke out about. It's like, can we shorten the services? And never changed. They're not willing to change anything unless it comes from leadership. It comes from upper leadership, comes from elder. That's the only thing. If they get the command by elder, then they'll make a change. But the lower people, it's everything is top down. There's no upward accountability coming from the bottom. Update, but just logged in today. Can someone give me an update? Was there some recent actions? Nothing major other than what I said before, that there's a meeting happening right now. It started at 9:30 this morning with Elder Rakah, and Elder Loy's there. I think Bishop Schwann's there, and of course the deacons are there, and all the loyal members are there. All the people who've left are not allowed, and they actually switched that. They switched that last minute last night. The original plan was allowing non-members, and I was going to meet another sister there who also was victimized by these people. Yes, keyword definitely for sure. Loyal members. Loyalty is royalty, right? That's a good one if anyone wants to see that lesson he did reveals a lot. You can see a lot of psychological overlay there in cult behavior, in the way he does that lesson. And the other one with the Los Angeles one is another good lesson to watch. But you can see some short videos I did on those. And joining GOCC led me to understand. Right. It's not about color for sure. Yeah, they didn't want any pushback at all. One brother I called last night said it was about the members, that the members were concerned that if non-members go, they would be recorded. But I didn't really buy into that. Could be, doesn't make sense to me, but yeah, it's not about color for sure. And again, I do believe, the Israelites, I still believe the Israelites are, the indigenous people, Native Americans, the people who were enslaved. Those prophecies, they're being raised up in the last days. But that gave opportunity for these types of people to exploit it and to use it for their own advantage and their own gain. And they kind of rode the wave of this prophecy of truth, and they saw an opportunity to use God's people. And man, Most High must be livid. Just his judgment's going to be great. And again, he can use any person. God's not a respecter of persons. He doesn't show partiality. And he will take someone you least suspect, and his hand, like I said in the video, man, I think about how he's delivering people away from this, and it's just awesome to witness and to see all the information we've learned. I don't count this as a loss. My 6 years in the church, count it as he needed to show me something to prepare me for something else. And same with people I've been talking to, looking online here, that we're not coming out by ourselves. There's others like Quab Gibbs and Hannah, Maestro Mike. I'm sure there's other people in this chat, 30 in here, that have gone through something. And the more people speak out, it's more opportunity for. And I always say this, like Elder Deacon Rakah told me, I don't do this online stuff. It's like, Okay, I didn't say anything back to him when he said that. But I did think about it later and said, wait a minute, didn't we come to this church? Most of us came through YouTube from online. And so Maestro Mike, people speaking out, it helps others. If Maestro Mike didn't speak out, I don't. The Most High used him, even though you know he was using some vulgar language. It still made an impact. Um, what are you saying? You can't dismiss it because what he's saying was true. So I thank God for anyone who's coming out and saying something. But yeah, real quick, I want to run through the rest of these points. This is from the book, if you weren't here, 48 Laws of Power, which I've heard from Maestro Mike. Maestro Mike himself has seen him read this book, and this book can be used for good and for bad. This is point number 7. And I'll read it. There's an application, the takeaway, the application, and then the red flag or the dark side of how it's used. So the takeaway says, make others dependent on you. Dependency equals control. So that's another thing we have documented over the series of videos that I put out there. We've documented this many times. I mentioned it you've seen it witnessed it in the recordings, that solutions don't come from the people under him, right? The solutions come from him. And this is why I made that daddy comment. You're not my daddy anymore. Because in my mind, I was correcting myself because that's what I thought him. I was giving him that honor as a father figure. He doesn't deserve that honor. I mean, his actions showed he's an empty vessel, a swine. 7 abominations in him. He works deceit, right? And his iniquity is great. So this is what these leaders are. So dependency equals control. Application, become indispensable in your role. Become indispensable in your role. Major red flag. So you in your role to the people under you, you're a great authority in their life. A light, almost inside and outside the church. People are calling deacons all the time, calling leaders. Hey, I need help with this. I need help with that. What should I do here? And yet, this blows my mind. Now I see these people. I can actually see. Before I was still in the process, while I was in it, breaking that disorganized relationship. Look up that term, disorganized relationship, or read the book. I don't know where the book is. This book, Trauma Bond Connection. And I'll get that other book someone else mentioned. But where was I going? In your mind, you're like, okay, this is your private life. It's a mess. You're depending on everyone else for money, but we have to depend. You're depending on us for your livelihood, and doing this con operation. Yet we depend on you for spiritual guidance. It's just like my mind. No wonder I couldn't think straight in this church, or I had to distract myself with sin and pleasure. Man. But anyways, become indispensable in your role. Major red flag. Leaders limiting knowledge so others can't function without them. So that's one way they can limit knowledge. Saying less. What was that? That kind of goes hand in hand with always say less than necessary. Silence creates power. The silence thing, speak concisely, appear more confident. Overuse can create mystique and intimidation. So you're creating this image of mystique, and the intimidation factor. And again, like the silence, I've been on my phone and they just ignore at this point. They're just ignoring me. They're probably told by Rakaa, yeah, just don't answer him, don't talk to him. And they know what that does psychologically. Where am I? Use selective honesty and generosity. Takeaway, strategic kindness, and this is the book from the 48 Laws of Power overview. Use selective honesty and generosity. Strategic kindness builds trust. Small acts to gain loyalty. So he does small acts to gain loyalty. Strategic kindness, okay, it's calculated. And knowing what I know about him now, he's not dropping a lot of money to do charity. So he's gonna do some small acts of kindness. And it's just some things are just humorous. And when I listen to that Los Angeles video, I forget what the title is, when he was in LA, he's like, man, this microphone, I'm gonna buy you guys a this microphone's not working. It must be the devil or something. I'm gonna buy you guys a brand new microphone. I'm gonna mail it out. We'll be here soon. And everyone's like, wow, yeah, like that. Those little things. He does that quite often. Talk about how he even said that I mentioned how we need speakers. We're renting a pool in Boston. We're renting a pool room in Boston. And the rent's really probably pretty cheap because it's the deacon works at it. And he can't even, he has a mansion sitting on acres of land, and he can't actually do the job of apostle and get us a real church. And it's me bringing the speakers to the church, and he can't even. We've been trying to get speakers for years, and he can't even deliver us speakers. So, but he's today, I bet he came with speakers. That's his strategic kindness builds trust. Everyone's gonna glorify him. I was like, wow, he brought speakers. So small X gains loyalty, can be used as a manipulation, love bombing tactic, right? Number 9, win through actions, never argument. Don't waste time arguing. Shows results instead of debating. And again, this book is a good book for everyone to read because you can use it for good in an honest way. Don't waste time arguing. Show results instead of debating. Dark side can be used to avoid accountability or shut down questions. So the dark side of this, which we've seen, this can be used to avoid accountability and shut down questions. Okay? So he'll just dismiss people, never address the substance. And this is what I see in the comments. There's a lot of ad hominem attacks. It's a ad hominem is a Latin word for to the person or at the person. And it's a logical fallacy where an individual dismisses an opponent's claim by attacking their character, motive, or personal attributes rather than engaging with the substance of the argument. So this is and can be a manipulative tactic for not engaging in a dialogue. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Emotions are contagious. Takeaway, stay around positive, productive people. Dark side can become blaming victims and isolating dissenters. So the dark side of this, you can use this to be can become blaming victims. So if you're the leader, you're blaming the victims and isolating dissenters, guess what the members are going to do? They're going to start blaming the victim and isolating dissenters. And 5Goon7, welcome. I've seen your comments. I responded to some of them. Yep, just move on. You don't have to be here. So if you want to move on too, you can. Keep people off balance. Unpredictability creates control. Application. In competition, don't be easy to read. And he's proven that too. It's very hard to read what Elder Rakaa is going to do. It's always through this whole experience. I mean, many late nights just sit in bed. Man, what's gonna happen? How should I play this? What should I do? Um, Throughout this whole, and it was a long, drawn out process too. I talked to Gabar. Gabar said I would have been livid. I would have just addressed this. These people would have been out that day. It's that simple. He makes it this way on purpose. Um, he creates what? It keeps people off balance. His unpredictability is intentional. He reads this, just by the way, he reads this book. Yes, leaders can also use that book in a righteous way. Exactly. 100%. Yeah, he probably had the leaders read it and say, use this, but meanwhile, he's showing by his actions how to use it in the wrong way. And I remember, I wish I kept the book. Deacon Jacob came to my house one time to stay over, and with his whole family, and he brought a book for me, and it was one of the power books. And I don't know if it was the 48 Laws of Power, but it was how to use power, or how to gain power. And he gave it to me. He's like, "Yeah, you can have it. Just check it out." I said, "Okay." But I think that's a big one that I've seen recently. Keep people, number 11, keeping people off balance. Unpredictability creates control. In competition, don't be easy to read. In unhealthy groups, creates confusion, dependency, and fear. And those are huge. I wish I had this other book called The Mind Control, or Brain Under Mind Control. Great book. It talks about how confusion and fear are the number one things that shut down critical thinking, where your mind's so disorganized uh, that it can't really put, you can't really figure out what's really going on. Uh, so crush your enemy totally. So that says number 12. I don't think we have much, and then I'll go. If anyone has questions, I'll address them. Let me just finish these 2 points. Crush your enemy totally. Don't leave threats lingering. Business application, business competition. The dark side, dangerous mindset in relationships leads to character assassination or total exclusion. Okay. So crush your enemy totally. That's number 12. Crush your enemy totally. It seems like he's going by that playbook, following that to a T. Leads to character assassination. Again, ad hominem, illogical arguments, attacks. Character assassination and total exclusion. So just totally excluding. That's why he changed the game plan. He probably saw the videos. Okay, this brother is not doing what I hope he would do. I hope this brother, this is me thinking that what Elder Khan might have been thinking. I hope this brother just moves on, goes on with his life, and disappears out there into the world. And I never have to deal with him again. There's one family I don't have to deal with, right? That's what he says. So at first, he probably came across these videos last night. He says, "You know what? I don't want this brother coming into this church." Because I've been seeing he's been doing his research and this and that, and exposing things that I don't want being exposed in the church, like face to face. So that's why I think I'm not there. But there will be people who disagree and defend this guy too. There'll be people who are going to be on this land with this guy, putting themselves in danger. The big patterns behind the laws, right? They're the big patterns. 1, control perception. People in power shape how others see reality. There you go. And for all those who are like, how could you do this? And you're coming at me like you're greater than, holier than thou perspective. Just to understand the human mind, human condition, human nature, okay? Be careful before you speak. Control perception. People in power shape how others see reality, okay? People write books on this. It's not just like fairy tale stuff. It's coming from people way, way smarter than me. I've studied this for a while. and it's proven. There's many studies I'm going to bring out. Maybe I'll go into this book. This is actually a children's book. Funny, and it's funny I got this book right here. I don't know if you can see. I've been reading it to my children. Everyone should get it for their children and for yourself, actually, even if you don't have children. Control information, what people know, what they don't know. Okay, control what people know and what they don't know. So this guy is up all night, probably. Elders. This is his life, and it amazes me how he does it. How do you live life like this? But create dependency. The more people rely on you, the more power you have. Use emotion strategically. Fear, flattery, scarcity. And that is fear, flattery, scarcity. That's key. He did, and this was not recorded, but he did make a flattering comment at me right before this was the first time we were on the Zoom meeting. It was recording number 1. He made a flattering remark at me to throw me off. And then he called me Adam at first. That's another thing I heard one of the brothers say, yeah, they do that in court. Pronounce your name on purpose. I think he called Jacob someone Joshua or something. Like, you're an elder. You should. My pastors and the church I grew up knew everyone's name. They cared that much. Shows how much you care, elder. Scarcity too. So, yeah, read. What is it? Proverb. In this, flattery, scarcity, fear. Proverb. Really, 26, I think. But so how to protect, this is the wrap up, why this matters, especially in your context, given what you've been exploring, okay? Many high control leaders naturally and intentionally use these tactics. Fear plus flattery leads to retention, right? This is gonna be deep seated information, okay? We're gonna retain this knowledge. Long teachings control attention. Long teachings. So again, they're testing our attention. They do this on purpose. This is why they say, all right, this is why nothing changes. You say that lessons are too long. There's older people in this church. They can't sit for 4 hours. It's not good for our backs. It's not good for many reasons. We have children it's just crazy. It's just mind control stuff. Long teachings control attention. Authority elevation, don't question me. Information control, no transparency. How to protect yourself, ask, is this empowering me or making me dependent? Did Christ come to make us dependent on man? To put a yoke of bondage on us? Or ask yourself this, did Christ come to empower you, the individual? Did he say you're the temple, or that we have to go to a building for 4 hours? Did he say we have to keep that we can keep Passover in our homes because and comfortably with our own families and friends? Or do you say we have to go to spend a lot of money, that we don't have, can't afford, and go to these Passover events? Okay, so Christ came to empower the individual, and I'm finally taking the power that Christ gives to everyone. Taking it, we can all claim it. It doesn't have to be concentrated in one man. That's what he's doing, is stealing our frequency, our assets, our time, and using it to benefit himself and his cronies, his buddies. Because they're all up there. They're all up there on the top with them. Bishop Amoth, what's his name? Kelly Roberts or something? Yeah, so I don't know what that's being said. It seems like a dialogue's being said. But how to protect yourself, suppression, lack of transparency, watch for lack of transparency, watch for suppression of questions, leader-centered authority. So when you're watching these videos, watch for all that, the testimony videos. And it's easy, you can watch these videos and pick out something wrong that I did. I'm not saying I was a saint through this all. I wasn't. That's not the point of this video. If you want to focus on me, fine. But um, you're missing the point. Again, like the deacons are missing the point. You're probably still under mind control of Elder Rakah. Serving man instead of fearing God. Okay. Leader-centered authority. Keep outside. So focus on whether it's leader-centered authority. Keep outside perspectives. Okay, this is key. I mentioned this in the last one. At the end, keep your outside perspectives, friends, family, independent sources. Verify it independently. Get independent sources with people with no strings attached. People who have left, who've lost things, not gaining stuff, who have lost things that are now speaking out, taking the step to do that. Prices are high. Let's be honest, we are all going through a tough time. Yes, indeed. We are all going through a tough time. First of all, it's the angel Michael that will be sent by our Father to save us. All Richard will do is lead us to our destruction. Plain and simple. Yes, sir. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to tell you, obviously. He might be that blinded himself. That, I mean, the Bible says the blind leaders, the blind follow the blind leaders. They both fall into a ditch. So he might not be knowing. He might actually believe he's leading people to the promised land, but it will not end well. That's a guarantee. This will not end well if we see it out till the end. So there's a level of urgency on everyone's part that's seen something to speak out, to warn, to blow the trumpet on this, because you don't want to be in it. It's not worth your time. Anyone have any questions? That was all that was on my mind. I mean, it's a nice day out. Anyone have questions here? I just went through the 48 laws of power. Maybe I'll put this up in a video. I know the lives kind of all over the place and it's not really direct to a certain topic. And they can be long, so it's probably hard to watch these all the way through. Humility is a key. Facts says humility is the key. Humility is a key. You literally could do nothing else on the Sabbath except go to class. It's an all-day event. Got to bring snacks, water to sustain, and pray there's food afterwards. Yeah, literally, it's plain as day. The Most High is making it plain as day now that why they do these things and why it never changes. Yeah, you literally have to, especially if you have family. It's a big event every Shabbat, and didn't Christ say that he made the Sabbath for man? The Sabbath for us, not to be overburdened by people with agendas, to keep us under their rule. And who knows? I don't know much, the background of how they got to leadership, the leaders in this church, the deacons, officers, but they were definitely conditioned. They could have came in And I did hear this with Deacon Jacob. I was talking with a brother, and he's starting out. You wouldn't know he could be capable of such things that we're seeing lately in him. Um, when he started out, humble, quiet, meek person, and all of a sudden he morphed into uh, a totally different person from when he started. And yeah, something like Elder Rakas says, something dark creeped into him, and that's you're accountable, elder. Both of you elders, you're accountable. Just like you said, they're accountable for the people under you. Well, you're accountable for everyone because you are the one signing the documents. You set this up. You always brag about how much work that you did. See, look what I built. That's what you said. And then he did that act, another act of kindness he did. The strategic act of kindness was that he revamped. He did a video on this. I don't know if I can find it. He revamped the Philadelphia body. He says, look at this," and everyone's just elated. Uh, yeah, it's a stupor. I was in a stupor, and people are in a stupor, spiritual stupor. I wonder if Elder Akal would do a lesson breaking down cults. That should be that should be, if anyone's in the academy or has contact with them, you should request a whole lesson free of charge on cult psychology and how cult leaders operate and why people join cults. Everything. Give us that knowledge. I doubt he will. But yeah, you probably know the lesson I'm referring to, where he did this strategic small act of kindness. But I mean, it can, yeah, he did revamped it, but it seems like his kindness is he has a little favoritism with the Philadelphia body. You know, Bishop Amoth has his new stage for his singing platform to perform and get his glory. Um, yeah, the job of the apostle is the lesson. Sorry, that that's a good one to look at. Lives. Where is that lesson? Oh, right here, the raising of the dead and the Passover lesson. Go check that lesson out. He shows the how he improved the Philly body. I don't know if he did this with his own money or the churches, but let me go back to the comments. I'm probably going to be here for another 10 minutes. Meaning Philly didn't need a remodel. Okay, let me see here. The name change is a destiny transfer attempt. That's what Freemasons do when they change your identity to serve their God. Yeah, that's a key point. What is it? The name change is a destiny transfer attempt. That's what Freemasons do when they Quab gives, when you get time, if you ever, or if you can, I mean, I'm not, it's all good if you're free to do that. Can you email me some more information on that? Because I wanted to do a video on the name change. If you have my email, I put it in the chat in the beginning, and then I will have your email. We can exchange ideas maybe. But that's deep. That's what Freemasons do when they change identity to serve their God. Yeah. How are you going to enjoy the Sabbath today? Definitely go outside. Maybe go on a run. I was doing a little reading, and yeah, my family's out actually visiting a sister that just left the church, and my sons are uh, have a friend, so they're going to see their friend from the church that is now left. So I'm here, uh, just gonna enjoy the Sabbath. I really have no plans. Oh, hopefully I'll call, a brother later on. I think I want to call a few brothers to talk. Um, whatever I bet I finally gonna post for Ka again. Every day must want him. Lineup bronze. Whatever I bet you finna gonna post for Ka again. I don't know what 5 is saying. Because nobody else would do it. Bo's been through a lot. Bro's been through a lot of leadership before you came. Yes, I completely agree with you. So, LOL, there was nothing wrong with the Philly church. I have been there. Philly body is hurting as well. Bad. That's a front. Yeah. Yeah, I spoke with a brother in the Philly body that is left, and he disclosed some things that's going on with the leadership there, and just strange behavior. You know, getting people to attack him unjustly, unfairly. Again, they use people. The leaders use people. They'll leverage the people, and for a reason to maybe isolate a person that might might betray the body and or be a traitor. What they call the Judas people. We're the Judases, right? In their eyes, we're Judas. We're the traitors, and so yeah. Again, I thought going in here, I held these guys in high esteem. Unfortunately, what's his name, Kelly Roberts, Bishop Amoth. I jammed out with him, playing the drums. True. Great job, brother. I know the amount of courage it takes to make these videos, so just keep your head up and know that these videos can help many people. I appreciate that a lot, Quab. Yeah, and yeah, I'm not a guy that is that comfortable when the camera's going. I'm getting used to it though. In college, I always had a fear that dreaded just public speaking in general. But I was actually at a church that I really enjoyed doing Bible studies with the younger people in the church. Did youth ministry I was part of a Lutheran church, and I really enjoyed when it comes to certain topics that I'm really passionate about. Obviously, the Bible, but psychology. I enjoy it, even though this whole YouTube can be there's a learning curve to it. But I appreciate the encouragement from anyone, positive comments, and likewise to you, Quab. It was inspiring just to see the amount of people that did take the choice to speak and put themselves, and I realize how much it takes time. It's not like you just one day wake up and hit the record button. You kind of have to, you take time to prepare, time to learn, learn the platform and figure out a way to record, and then you do it. But it was just inspiring and hopeful to see and hear other people's testimony, because it shows you're not alone, and that isolated feeling can be crippling and can prevent you from doing what you want, you should do, what the right thing is to do. Since I've been there, Boston has been in 5 places since 2000, and that is, oh, yeah, that's I know you, sis. Mara. Yes. Yes, yes, we were actually gonna go to church. I know you couldn't go as well today because you're not a member anymore. I'm not a member anymore, um, which is a good thing, but it's sad that it makes sense that they don't want us there because then they're gonna be it's gonna be harder for them to lie. Um, but since I've been there, the Boston church has moved 5 places. Yeah, and I think I was there right around when you joined. Um, and yeah, we were all over the place. And the deacons would actually say, my dad made a good point. The deacons would actually say I that we were struggling on rent, meeting the rent money. Yet, and it's crazy, we were so like we were so conditioned not to ask questions or something. Because I'm looking back, it's like, why didn't I ask the question of, hey, a simple thing to do would have been to, and this is maybe like the whole process of baptism, getting you conditioned to be under this mind control. Them anointing us, which has a dark puts more darkness, blindness to us, them praying over us, all this thing. It's scary when you look at it. But again, the Most High is awesome with delivering us and many more people. We pray that until this thing, collapses. But what I was gonna say is that you know they would say that the they would say we're barely meeting the rent money based off the tithes we're getting. And then he mentioned, and I think this was in Rhode Island, and I don't know if you can verify Amara, Mira 30, that they said we don't get, Deacon said, or Deacon Rakah said, we don't take any money. We're not getting anything. But yet at the same time, they're not showing us financial reports. I went to a church even while I was in my cousin uh, friend. He We went to church. They had it was like 2 years ago. They had a financial report they give out to the members every week or every month, and it would be the pamphlets. You open it up, you get the scriptures and everything, and on the back you get how much money came in, how much is going to the pastor, how much is going here. Well, in the Boston body, they're telling us we're barely uh, meeting the rent money, and no one asks how much is the rent. Like, how much are we getting in every week? How about we get an accountant that's not you guys counting the money, but a separate accountant, and have that person job is to count everything, make sure it goes in the bank. Someone who is not really not part of your inner circle who counts the money. So it's just crazy, crazy that, I wish I said something earlier. None of us did. But this is not how normal churches operate. This is how cults operate. Left GOCC, time to post it. Oh. Meanwhile, since I've been there, Boston has 5 places. Yep. At one point, the Israelites were connected to the Nation of Islam. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I left GOCC in 2024. I guess it was just time to post it, right? Right time. Yeah. Yeah, God, it was God. I mean, God sees the end from the beginning, and the timing. Me and the brother who left together, we were like, wow, I'm glad it happened now. It seemed like it was the right timing. Especially spring season, everything, we can grow, put in new seeds, plant new seeds to harvest in the summer, part of the healing. Um, from what I paid in tithes, that pretty much should have paid a good part of the rent by myself. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, there's so plenty. It's really, you really can't tell. now what they did with that money, whether they were, the cash ties or what. Who knows how they were handling that money based on these recordings, what how they operate based on what we know about them now. Um, so yeah, and it was a small church too, Rhode Island. Church plants can't afford to pay their own churches. Yeah, good point. Yep, they're millionaires. Yet that's a good point because I was looking into this. Cult church leaders. There's a video this guy did, and he says if the pastor, other leader, the spiritual leader of the church, you can figure out if there's something off if you take the average home size of the congregants in the church, and if that average home size, if the church leader has double that average home size, the square footage, then there is mishandling of money. Then that's a clear sign that there's mishandling of money. So he's a millionaire. So is the average person in this church millionaires? No, I would say it's below middle class is average. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just based on my experiences in the church. So that's a red flag. If you do the math on that, I haven't done it, but I'm sure the average home size and the rent of people's homes or the cost of their mortgage is far less than elders. So there's a very big gap. Very big gap. What else? North. Yes, yep. It's total lack of transparency. Yeah, getting to leadership. Yeah, they want to, and I think I mentioned in this beginning, they probably choose the ones they don't choose leaders off of merit. So the loyalty, as long as you're a loyal person to Elder Rakah would rather have a loyal person than a righteous person in position. He would rather have a person like a Deacon Rakah, Deacon Jacob, in because they know they're man pleasers. They're loyal to death for this man, not for Christ. So it's not based off of merit and competency in your history or your experiences. Those leaders can't the people who have standards that actually live by them and have experience, real life experience of shown and proved that they have a moral code, then those leaders are hard to compromise and to get under control. So yeah, the weak leaders are the people or his favorite leaders. Um, or the people who just want to seek position, because it seems like there's a lot of people in the church that envy a leadership position. When they get it, it's like they struck gold. It's like this is it. This is my calling. Um, and for some reason they have a joy or like a passion to tell people what to do. Like I honestly, doing this is hard for me because I'm not that guy that I have enough issues in my own life that uh, dealing with other people's issues, yeah, or wanting to desire position to be counseling other people. It's especially in knowing that it's a cult. It's even worse. Yeah, and one brother told me, he's a Philly brother. He said, yeah, he calls them "Yes, my lords." Those are the man pleasers. I thought it was funny. He says, yeah, those are "Yes, my lords." Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. Those are the people I think that are in the comments sections that are have their arguments in the text are just all about, they're all based on assumptions. And I'm just done. I should be done just answering. It's the same lines. I mean, it's just proving what I've been reading in these studies, in the research. Um, okay, I always say I'm going to be done in 10 minutes. It goes on, but hold on. North California was already small. I wouldn't be shocked if the part of the California shuts down. Yeah, yeah, he might. I don't know. Like he's trying to save Boston. It seems. I thought he was gonna just cut Boston off. Like, all right, let's amputate Boston because they're a problem. Um, but no, no, he's there. He's glad I'm not there. That's negligence to start churches without funding them, supporting properly. That's why it's a Christian slave trade. Yes. Um, I remember they asked people who paid in checks to endorse it so it would be easier when going to the bank. I remember they asked people who paid in checks to endorse it so it would be easier when going to the bank. I bet that went into someone's pocket. Endorsed checks are the same as the cash. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I did notice, and again, this is I'm not saying this I'm not saying this as fact. Okay, I'm curious. I'm just putting it out there that it was strange to me looking back that every time, so we would be at church and we would get there at 11, we would get out like 5, and it would be around dinner time, especially in the winter time. So me and the Deacon Rakov, would be like, "Hey, what are you doing after?" It's like, "Oh, we're going to this pizza place. Want to meet at this brewery or something." And he would meet us there, would be on the way home. And every time he always had, and this is after Shabbat, he always had a bunch of cash with him, whole lump sum of cash. He'd be like, Yeah, I got this. I got this." And I was like, "No, no, 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 I got it." And he'd be like, "No, no, I got it." And so sometimes we would split it. Sometimes like, okay, but sometimes I would say, "No, I'm good." We're trying to be even with it, but looking back at it, it's like, yeah, man, is that your cash or is that the church's cash? I'm not saying this as proof or, um, again, I'm assuming it could be based on what we know now about their character. S Yes, sister, yes. Hey, I appreciate you, and, you know, I'm glad we're seeing this together. Thank you for speaking up. Yes. Makes me see that I should try to speak up and not just drop it. Rakad did say he would pop back up here again. Exactly, I paid for dinner at LOL. Rakad did say he would pop back up here. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny, like, yeah, I don't know what. Again, there's no oversight, there's no accountability. So it's like a free for all. They probably have they might be thinking, okay, elders probably, everyone's getting money up there, so might as well, we should get money down here. So we're the leaders too, so it just became, got it way out of hand. And praise God for my wife. And another thing, this church takes the women thing so extreme. They're fighting back against feminism, and I get that feminism did attack the masculinity in man, and that, but they take it from one extreme to the other extreme. And yeah, women do have a place and a voice, and they should. It's They always look at the negative perspective in the curses in the Bible and say that's the benchmark. Yeah, Eve, and the curse was that man shall rule over the husband and Eve shall desire the man. They take that to the extreme. Like, let's change the perspective on God's dream, not the curses. You know, let's aim to the idealistic, like what God wants for us. Um, so, well, how can the people see if they are being hypnotized by a hypnotist? Yeah, yeah, and that's a lot of the times it takes something, an event to take place to really wake someone up. And I think this part, there's ways you can go about helping people who are under cult mind control. I haven't read the whole book, but there's tips in this a section here of questions to ask people, um, people who are that you may know that are in a church cult, or for you yourself that's in a church cult. Questions people ask about cults. There's a section. This is a good section, page 93, 193. Um, who is the top leader? Tell me about their background and qualifications. Do they have a criminal record? What does your group believe? Does it believe that the ends justify the means? Is deception allowed? So really independent thinking and questioning, because that's the really first step with everything, in terms of changing your perspective and belief. Is the beginning stages you begin to question things for yourself instead of repeating someone else's opinion that was planted in you, like these comments about, you go to the brother. If you're offended, you go to the brother. Well, that's just a programmed response that you were taught by elder, because he repeats it all the time, and the more he repeats it, the more this is the only solution. So, well, how exact? So, but I would go for. Mean, I don't know about the hypnotism stuff. Like hypnotists, that's a profession, I think, but they could be doing some of that stuff. I mean, the cult leaders do certain use certain words, language, mannerisms. Go to the video why I left, not leaving GOCC. Why people can't leave GOCC. That video I did. I think I used this. I used one of the books. Go to that video. That can give some clarity. Why is it so hard to leave? Which is why many more aren't leaving. The women rule all the men in those churches. Yeah, the respect has to go both ways in a marriage. And I talked with Maestro and other people, and God can use your wife to God can speak through your wife to tell you something. Like the men can take correction from their wife. It's you can't be over righteous or like, no, this is how it is. I'm the man. You have to obey me no matter what. Follow me. No, the a woman was your helpmate. Yes. And that help is sometimes helping you see something, giving you information, right? So, yeah, and I agree. We need to have a balance here. Women in the world have, the respect for men is a struggle, more so with this feminism movement. But you saw in the videos, you know, there was no voice to women in general. In the Texas body too, um, from what I heard. Oh, they had Let's turn off. Oh, okay. So I just got news that they just had the people turn off their phones. Wow. This is I mean, I don't know how many people, like, there's so many red flags, just that alone. So while they were in, so they had a meeting today for those who don't know, but they had a meeting today and they had people in Boston, and I guess they had people turn off their phones before they entered. And it's still going on. So he so this person just left, and it was 9:30. So they're already there for 3 hours, and who knows, it might go another 2 hours. Dallas is the first church I've been in where they locked the door. I thought that was odd. That is very odd, yeah. Texas, they kept the phones at the front door. No way. Wow. The phones that they pay for. That's crazy. They don't want people secretly recording. Oh my goodness. Like, could this get any worse? Um, this is this is just showing, or should tell everyone that this information. They're showing their insecurity on the matter. Um, they're paranoid. They're insecure, uh, and so forth. I think there was a comment about security. I mean, I wonder if you said, "Hey, I'm not going. I don't feel comfortable going, knowing what happened. I don't feel comfortable leaving my phone with you people. I don't feel comfortable with you locking the door because it seems like you have something to hide. There's something you want to control and use intimidation." Yes. Yes, sister, I agree. That should tell people inside that there is smoke, there is fire. Take all this as a sign to leave. Yeah. 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 I'd be like, okay, that's weird. This is cultish. Um, yeah, I'm gonna actually call some people right now. Um, maybe I'll come out if I get more information. Again, my channel, I don't know how YouTube works. I try to go, you know, try to keep it so I'm not, you know, getting strikes based on copyright and all this stuff, or saying anything that could get me my video striked or my channel taken down. So if you can upload, I had to this computer. I'm not even at my actual house. This computer is doesn't fit a lot of data in it, and I put stuff on the hard drive, which is almost full. So if you can upload the videos, or I don't know how that works. If you can upload videos, or the download them or post them, that would be helpful. Um, but maybe I'll go as I get new information. I'll go on and share it. Right. It wouldn't be surprised if SoCal shuts down either. They were already threatened to shut the doors because of so-called lack of tithes, which is crazy. They just greedy. Wow, lack of tithes. Lack of tithes. I mean, that whole tithe thing, that's one thing I checked out earlier when I was going through this, is this whole tithe isn't actually biblical. And I'm not going to go into that now, but it's something to question, go into, and to think about, how Paul, they all had trades separate from separate from church ministry. A tent maker, Paul, fisherman, even Christ was a carpenter. So they didn't go around burdening the people, asking for tithes. They did the opposite, said, I don't want to put a burden on you. Not merchandising, that scripture talks about not merchandising the people. But the lack of tithes, like if that means, that should be a sign for elder to downsize his house. It's like, oh, maybe I don't need this huge house, right? Maybe if people are not, there's something wrong with what I'm doing. Yeah, tithes, yep. And didn't Paul say in Corinthians that a tithe, he only required food and drink? He only required from the people food and drink, which is reasonable for his travels. He's hungry. And he did take donations that people were willingly gave, because God doesn't want any spiritual pressure coming from a commandment saying you have to tithe, and then you feel obligated to tithe because now it's if you don't, you're breaking a law, and if you do, you're keeping the law. No, the Most High, Christ came with the spirit of the law, and now you give willingly with a cheerful heart. That's how it's supposed to be. Under the Levitical priesthood is not in existence right now. The temple torn in two. We are the temple. So something to go over. And it's funny that we talk about the Christian church. The Christian church cherry picks that law and says, this is the one that we're gonna, out of all of them, this is the one we keep. And we are also emphasizing that same law. And now people are probably not tithing as much. But them losing LA. All right, well, downsize that mansion, right? Yeah, downsize that mansion. Man, it's good to laugh sometimes about this, because keep you crying. It is crazy. It is crazy. He's still. It's like Pharaoh, no matter how many times the plagues hit him, he's still gonna keep it on, keeping on. He just keeps going, trudging along with all these lies. He's trying to uphold. He will defend these lies till he has that breaking point that all cult leaders come to, where they lose their mind. There's only so much sin a man can carry. It's a busy life he has. Maybe that mansion's the only thing that keeps him going day to day. All right, well, I'm ending. I'm going to call some people. Appreciate you, all of you on here. And God bless everyone. Love you all. Take care. Hold on. I'm trying to end this. Yep. Thanks, you too. And thanks for everyone's wisdom that was brought up. Appreciate it. And my email's in there. If you can scroll, you'll find it. I'll drop it real quick and then be out. Because I can. There it is. All right, shalom, sisters and brothers. Peace. Shabbat shalom, sis. All right. How do you end this? Ending.